Hi and welcome to the MusicBox Chatters podcast with me, Tierney, hosting the show, and you'll be hearing from Diva in a bit. So this is officially our second podcast and we're super excited to be chatting to you about well-being and lifestyle. There will be some heavy topics, of course, but I'll definitely be trying to keep it lighthearted, so hopefully you can relate, and if not, we'll learn something new. So quick backstory for you all. Myself and the girls are running our own company called Toybox, which is all about educating and breaking the stigma on mental health and well-being. So, and you know, as psychologists ourselves, we're quite passionate about these topics. And so we came up with the idea of creating our own podcast on the side. And each month we'll be talking about a new mental illness. So definitely go check out our Instagram at toybox_UK to stay up to date. So let's start off with what ADHD stands for. So ADHD actually stands for Attention Deficiency Hyperactivity Disorder. So the symptoms for ADHD in children and teenagers are pretty well defined and noticeable before the age of 6 apparently. And these symptoms are categorized into two different behavioral problems. So we have hyperactivity and impulsiveness. So these include symptoms such as acting without thinking, excessive physical movement, easily getting distracted, and having difficulty to concentrate on one specific task. So this means that individuals who go through ADHD do struggle to focus on the right things. So you probably may ask, what are the causes and triggers of ADHD? So there are quite a couple of factors out there. So we've got environmental triggers, and then we've got genetics. So it could actually run in your family or inherit it from your parents. And then we've got brain functioning, which is imbalance in the level of neurotransmitters in the brain. So myself, Chloe and Diva did a live Instagram chat recently about treatments for ADHD. So we did a debate and talked about whether medication is necessary and effective for ADHD.
Adderall and stuff like that is kind of like an addictive drug. So it's not like I say it's not good. So if you can avoid it, I think you should avoid it.
I agree with that actually, because you guys know, but I'll tell the story. I took Ritalin, the drug, and I found out that it has very similar chemical components to cocaine. And then I remember taking it, and I was just so neurotic, and I was so colors were so much brighter. I was so focused. Everything was great, but then I couldn't go to sleep. I couldn't. The feeling I couldn't go to sleep. I couldn't my mind was so so focused that I could only obsess over one thing, stuff like that, and it was just so bad. Obviously that's not the case for everyone, but that was the case for me. And I definitely think that medication can help you manage the disorder, or the illness. But I think what actually brings you forward or brings you to a better place is therapy, because that's when you address the underlying issues. So.
Yeah, and there are also other natural. I've looked it up. I've had a look through pages, and they say that there's also a lot of different natural remedies which are more better, I guess. So it's not more of a chemical stimulation. So it's I guess it's better. So there's no side effects like the medication that will give you. So it might be safer in some way, because sometimes I think the medication, it causes other it helps some problems, but then it causes different other problems.
Yeah, definitely.
So it's is it worth it to cancel out one effect and then causing another one?
Yeah, that's the issue, isn't it? With medication, especially with ADHD, because ADHD is kind of an impairment in the brain, but it affects the actions. So if you take another medication, that it doesn't change it changes the the brain chemicals and everything, but it's causing another side effect. So it's is that really worth it? I think that's one of the questions a lot of people ask themselves when they take medication, whether it's just like for ADHD.
So if you enjoyed that, stay tuned for more for these interesting debate chats. We've got more coming up in the next few months. And yeah, so go check it out on our Toybox Instagram. Next up, we've got Diva sharing her personal story for ADHD. Hey Diva.
Hi.
So yeah,
Hi.
introduce yourself to us.
Hi. So I'm Diva. Nice to meet you. I am one of the co-founders of Toybox, and in Toybox, I'm in charge of the graphics and the visual representation of Toybox.
Nice.
And I am in charge of like Instagram and how it looks like. I'm also a student at University of Birmingham for Masters of Mental Health, and I grew up in Hong Kong, but right now I'm living in the UK for my Masters. So yeah, I actually grew up with a lot of ADHD symptoms, like such as like inattention and like hyperactiveness, etc. Like I used to kind of like run around a lot, and like I was just very active, and like my brain was very active as well. And kind of like I had like stories where I would I would be doing work, but I had to just kind of I just wanted to read books, and I just wanted to do something else. Like I couldn't pay attention, like you said, to the right things. Like I also jumped between activities a lot. So kind of I would play the flute, and then I'll drop it. I'll play the violin, I'll drop it. I'll do art and I'll drop it, stuff like that. And yeah, when I was a kid, I had all the symptoms, but never really a diagnosis. So like kind of it was never treated. So my studies and grades kind of deteriorated, and I couldn't keep up with the demands of school. So that led to a depressive episode when I was a teenager, and I got diagnosed with anxiety and schizophrenia. However, like even after that diagnosis, my therapist saw something was a bit wrong. So she wanted me to go to get a diagnosis for ADHD, and all the symptoms matched up. So I got diagnosed, basically.
Nice. So how are you dealing with it now? Like, is it better than before, or?
Yeah, it's definitely better than before. I think, like I said, it's the life that I don't take medication or anything. Like I tried, it didn't suit up with me, but like I learned coping strategies from my therapist, from life, like just from different Instagram, Facebook groups, like just coping strategies for myself. So like for example, I had to learn that I need a schedule in my life, or I'll just do nothing for the whole day. I need time for myself, like to take a break so I can refresh and stuff like that, you know.
Yeah, nice. Thanks so much for sharing your story. Hopefully that will help people out there who are listening. So as Diva was speaking about, like looking at different coping like strategies and whatnot, we came across some blogs. So one of them is from timetochange.org.uk and adhdclinic.co.uk. So yeah, check out their pages for personal stories on mental health. It will definitely be quite useful, especially if you're going through things. Definitely have a look. And if you're not through any of these things, but it will definitely help with like, you know, educating yourself and like really getting to understand what people are really going through with their mental health. So I handpicked some stories. So this one's from ADHD Clinic by Josh. So Josh was really struggling to focus on work in his cubicle in an open planned office. The office floor was loud and distracting, and he could not concentrate. He was also irritating other colleagues, so he would fidget so much that the table next door to his cubicle would shake. In meetings, he struggled to engage with the agenda and get distracted by things going on outside the window or just by his own thought. He would then realize he had zoned out and would get really stressed out, so he would have lost track of the group's conversations. So what do you think of that?
Yeah, that just really resonated with me.
Yeah, I feel like that's like from what I've been reading as well, like I feel like that is one of the main like symptoms, like where you get really distracted from things. Like you'd be doing one task and then you'd lose focus of that task and you kind of jump onto something.
Yeah, it's so easy. That's so easy. Like especially with him saying like in the open plan office, there's so many distractions. Someone could just walk by to go to the toilet and you just be like, oh, where's he going? And then you get distracted already. It's so easy, you know.
Yeah, I can imagine. Yes, it's quite interesting though, because
Hmm.
yeah, most of the things I've been reading, I can tell that distraction is one of the main biggest things.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
think even when he said like he's lost track of the group's conversation, that happens to me a lot. Like I
Yeah.
think even with you guys when we're talking, like when
Sometimes
we're
the mind
talking,
wanders.
sometimes I lose
Yeah.
track and then I'll just be like, wait, what are we talking about again? And then
Yeah.
it's yeah, I think it's just about having people around to be like, oh, like it's fine, like just like,
Yeah.
and then they just repeat or like just kind of, like when Josh was saying how he was irritating other colleagues, I think the other
Yeah.
colleagues could, I think, be more compassionate about it, just
Yeah.
help him out, like stuff like that. Like
Hmm.
you need help with these things. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm curious to know, like, how do you gain back focus? So, like you were saying, like when you have a conversation, we talk about something, but then you lose focus. Like, how would you go back to gaining your focus? Like, is there any coping mechanisms? Is there anything that could help people, maybe?
I think you kind of just come back to it. It's not really like a oh, like I lost track. Like you obviously after you realize you lost track, like you
Yeah.
come back to and you ask what happened. I think
Yeah.
that's the best way to do it, because you can't really just stop yourself from getting
Yeah.
distracted, because that's inevitable of ADHD. Like I
Yeah.
get distracted about like all the time. Like I would
Yeah.
go on my laptop to do one thing and I'll just be doing something else like
Yeah.
in 2 minutes, and
Happens.
I'm like, what did I even do? Like what was
Mhm.
I even here for? And it happens. I think it's just catching yourself at the right moment and just going back to your original task and just
I see.
kind of trying to kind of focus and not let stuff distract you, because sometimes those distractions are like they are actually beneficial in some sense. Like for
Yeah.
example, if you're doing art, like it's beneficial to get distracted because you might get even more inspiration. But
Yeah.
like sometimes obviously it's not great, and I think you just have to get back to the task and kind of focus on it. Like
Mm.
when I remember when you said focusing on the right things, like for
Yeah.
me the right things is stuff that I'm interested in.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe like if he was really struggling to focus at work and struggling,
Mm.
maybe it's just not the right thing that he's focusing on. It's not something that's interesting him, so
Mm.
maybe he needs to think about it.
Yeah, nice. Yeah, so Diva's got another story which that she's gonna read out in a bit. So this one's from Time to Change by Eddie.
Yep. So one of my relatives once said, "It's a shame that I have ADHD. I don't feel the shame lies with me having this treatable condition. It lies with the people who use my condition against me, treat me abusively because of it, and dismiss my various cries for help over the years. A major part of overcoming all of this was embracing being crazy Eddie, rather than feeling ashamed and angry about it. I then started to genuinely laugh and smile along with everyone else around me. After finding effective treatment, I became able to voice it towards those around me. My relationship became stronger and my other comorbidities decreased." Yeah. What do
Yeah.
you think about that now?
Yeah, it's back to me now.
Mm,
Yeah, I feel like there's a lot of stigma around like ADHD, but also in mental health in general, like especially, I mean, I don't know where Eddie's from, but maybe like in Asian cultures especially, like you'd see this kind of abusive behavior where they'd be like,
yeah.
oh yeah, you're just crazy in the head, or you don't
Yeah.
have, like, why are you feeling like this, this is,
Yeah.
things like that. So I think it's very important for people, like especially what we're doing right now is trying to help break these stigmas, and yeah, it's definitely important to do that.
Yeah. I think it's definitely good to encourage people. Like, I think it's not it's definitely not a shameful thing. Like it's the same thing if someone had a broken arm. Like you can't
Yeah.
be like you're shameful to have a broken arm. It's the same
Yeah.
thing. Like it's just I have something in my head that's affecting my abilities, and it's
Hmm.
not a big thing. Like you just have to, it's a treatable condition. Like so
Hmm.
it's really not a big deal. Like you just have to kind of embrace it being yourself. Like I definitely embrace the ADHD side of me, and it's
Hmm.
become a part of me. Like
I think you
I
just
don't
did it right. Yeah.
yeah, I don't think that's the same with a lot of other mental
People.
illness. Some of them are not the same, like, but and obviously with other people. But for me, I
Mm.
definitely like think that having ADHD is a part of me, and I wouldn't exchange it for the world, because I would just change. I wouldn't be me.
Yeah, that's quite an interesting perspective of it.
Yeah.
Okay, so next up we've got ADHD in the media. So I'm pretty sure if you're into like TV and like films and books, then you'll definitely be interested in this. So for those of you who watched Teen Wolf before, probably came across this character called Styles. And so Styles is described as overly anxious and curious. He is extremely hyperactive and intelligent and has a quick mind for puzzles and research, but was prone to having distractions due to his ADHD. I feel like having these sort of like TV shows and like, you know, movies really do help educate people about certain mental illnesses in like a very lighted way, like, you know, instead of trying to be too serious about it. But it also, I feel like it's quite important also to think about the fact that it could be quite like dramatized in some cases. So I think it's important to take that into account.
I think the intention behind it's great. Like, it's just to raise awareness about and create a dynamic character, which is what all TV shows and movies want. But I think if they dramatize it to a certain point and exaggerate it to a certain point, it becomes it goes the wrong way, you know, like it doesn't help at all.
I feel like it doesn't really like reflect back to what people are really feeling. So I guess in a way, people end up treating people like in a wrong way as well, because they don't really understand what they're truly going through. Because
like there's always ADHD is always categorized with the hyperactiveness and inattentiveness. So that's always in the movies and TV shows. That's always portrayed like that.
Especially with kids, they always think, oh yeah, if a kid is hyperactive, then they automatically have ADHD. That's not really truly the case, is it? Like, they could be hyperactive, but that doesn't really mean that they do have ADHD, you know?
Yeah, and there's so many portrayals of it that portrays only one side of ADHD, like the extreme side of ADHD. But they don't portray for example, inattentiveness, like, or just kind of distractions, because it's not, in a TV show and movie sense, it's not eye-catching enough and it's not interesting enough. Like, so that's why people, especially in one of the TV shows I watched, like How I Met Your Mother, like Barney, he has confirmed ADHD, like in his like character arc. But there was a clip that he kind of he acted very stereotypically ADHD, like just like kind of like scream. Like kind of like when Ted was trying to teach him something, and he kept saying like, "Oh, can we go outside? Can we go outside?" Like that's not in real life, you know. Like
it doesn't really happen that way. You know?
Like I won't just keep saying, "Can I go outside?" Like that's doesn't
I feel like they need to show like behind the scenes kind of thing, if that makes sense. Like instead of the very extreme side of it.
It's just like a lot of different portrayals and it's like not full portrayals of characters. I feel like they're just trying to put it in just to like have that factor, like that like interesting factor, but they kind of just want to show it as like the crazy side of it. Exactly.
I've realized that as well. Like a lot of movies, even with like other mental health as well, they try to make it seem like such a negative thing and then make it so dramatized that everyone's like, oh my god, these people are crazy, you know, like they give that kind of vibe, which is quite wrong actually.
Exactly. I think sometimes, you know, when you see characters and you resonate with them, I don't resonate with them at all. Even if they had ADHD, like I don't, because it's not the same in real life and in TV shows and movies. Like it's just not the same. And I think real life portrayal is way more important than in a TV show and movie, because we all know that's not reality, you know.
Exactly, it's not reality. So I guess it will be worth, like, I think having, you know, things such as blogs like what we read before, I think those are quite useful, because they're experiences from like real people and like what real like people actually went through, you know. Okay, so next up, I've come across some Instagram accounts that focus around ADHD. So you should definitely go follow these. So women_with_ADHD. So they focus mainly on like adult ADHD, which is not as like broadly discussed compared to youth ADHD. So definitely go check out their page. They've got some interesting and helpful tips down there. Diva, do you recommend any like Insta accounts or like websites that you've seen, or even blog posts, like anything?
I do have some. Like I think for Insta accounts like ADHD_inspirations is pretty good. Like
Okay.
I haven't looked in depth into it because I actually just found them out, but like it
Yeah.
seems really cool. Like yeah, but I really, there's also a YouTube channel that I follow, like
Oh, nice.
that's called How to ADHD, and it's just her talking about Jessica. She talks about her having ADHD and like how how to kind of some coping skills, combat skills, like what to do with it, like how to feel better, and like how to work at home, like stuff like that, because that's very difficult for me, I know.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's also some other ones. I think that the person behind the ADHD YouTube channel also has a she had a TED talk like called Failing at Normal, and that made me cry.
Oh wow, okay.
I
So
just
it must have really resonated with you then.
It really resonated with me. Like I just felt so seen and so heard. Like that, her story is very similar to mine in some aspects, and I just think that's just so. I don't know. Like I just felt so emotional when I heard that, because it was like someone like her could succeed, so maybe I could too. Stuff like that.
Yeah, people definitely go check them out.
Yeah, even on Facebook, like in Reddit, like Facebook has that dank ADHD room, and that's just hilarious. There's so many memes on it.
Oh yeah, like ADHD memes.
Yeah, it's just really funny.
Yeah, I feel like those really keep it lighthearted as well.
Definitely.
And you can still relate to them as well because they put in a funny context, but still very relatable.
Definitely, like, it's really fun. Like it's just really fun. I think definitely with more specific stuff like feelings, blog posts, like everything you need for like coping strategies, analogies, metaphors, even information you have to find, like Reddit, like ADHD, the subreddit r/ADHD. It's really good. Like I remember just reading so many posts, like going through like a tunnel down, just reading all of it, because I was like, oh my god, that's me. Yeah, so these are some of the stuff I recommend, definitely. Like, yeah.
Nice. Yeah, I haven't gone through ADHD, but I would definitely like have a look at what's it called, Failing at Normal, right? Yeah, I feel like that's quite interesting, especially because she did a TED talk.
I remember her depicting literally failing at normal. Like she used to have great grades, and like she used to be this genius kid, and like I kind of was something like that. Like I did really well in school, but then like kind of when your brain like neurologically didn't keep up with you, and you just failed, like you just literally just swan dive down. And that's what her story was like, and how she picked herself back up.
Yeah, that's quite powerful actually. So guys, definitely go check them out. Hopefully it will help you as well. So yeah, that is it from myself and Diva. Feel free to reach out to us if you're struggling or know anyone who is, and we'll be very happy to signpost you to suitable help. So on a lighter note, we decided to make a playlist with tunes around mental health. So this month's one is we're gonna add music on ADHD. So definitely check that out. And yeah, thank you for tuning in with me and Diva. And I'll definitely be back next month with episode 3 with a new topic on mental health. And in the meantime, go follow us at toybox_UK for the latest.
Thank you for listening. Bye.
Bye.